For this one, we need to get the trig functions to be the same. Now, if there was a sine squared, I could replace it with 1 minus cosine squared or something like that, but there's no squared. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce the square myself. So there's sine x minus cosine x is equal to a quarter, and then square both sides. So on the left side, when you squared the binomial, there's going to be sine squared. For the middle term, you multiply these two and double the result. So that's going to be minus 2 times sine of x times cosine of x. And then square this negative cosine, which will be a positive cosine squared. And on the right side, it equals 1/16. Now this sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. So then you could subtract 1 from both sides. That will get rid of the sine squared and cosine squared. So there's just negative 2 sine of x times cosine of x. And then this would be 1/16 minus 16/16, getting a common denominator. So that's negative 15/16. Now for this part, there's a trig identity for 2 sine of x times cosine of x. Do you know that one? You're right. It's sine of 2x. And then I could just multiply by negative 1 on both sides, and it will turn it into a positive 15/16. Okay, now this is basically saying, if you look at the sine graph, this is 1. 15/16 would be approximately right here. So if you go across, we will get two solutions. This first solution comes from when you do sine inverse of the 15/16. So let's see, how much is that? Sine inverse of 15/16. 1.215. And then I could try to see if that is pi over something, although I'm skeptical. Divided by pi, and ask the calculator what fraction that is. And it says that it's not a fraction, it's only a decimal. So this did not work, so we can't use the 0.387. So we're just going to have to work with the answer, 1.215. So this answer is 1.215. And this second solution, well, right here is pi, so that means that this one is to the left of pi, so that's pi minus 1.215. So pi minus 1.215 is 1927 with a decimal in there. Okay, now before I proceed, one thing I want to do is graph it and see how many solutions I'm looking for. So sine of x minus cosine of x, when does that equal 1/4? And we need to change the window to go from 0 to 2 pi. So 6.5, that's approximately 2 pi, so that's good enough to be able to see it. And we need to be able to see where it's 1/4. So how about if it goes from 0 to 1? That should be good enough to see. And there's one solution. Second solution. Okay, so it looks like we're only looking for two solutions. Now if I test this answer, it's going to say that it's wrong. Watch. Trace 1.927. That is not either of the solutions. And that's because I'm not quite finished over here. When I found these two solutions, I had ignored the fact that it's 2x. So I actually need to say 2x equals this, 2x equals this, and then divide by 2. And after we divide by 2, we can go back to the calculator and verify that those are correct. So then divide by 2 and divide by 2. Actually, let me show you how I would do it. I would just do this on the calculator right now and do 2 things at once. So this needs to be divided by 2. So I press trace and then 1.215 divided by 2. So that way I can see what x equals, 0.608. And that does not seem to be one of the solutions. Oh, because that's where it equals -1/4, not where it equals +1/4. So that one's not right. What about this one? Take a 1.927 and divide by 2. Oh, this one is correct. 0.964. So this one turned out to not be correct because that's where it was equal to a -1/4, not a +1/4. So then what I should be able to do is take this answer and then add on 2 pi. So next, take this answer, 2x equals 1.927 and add on 2 pi. And then divide that by 2. So I've got a 1.927 plus a 2 pi, and then divide that by 2. So 4.105. And then of course go back and verify 4.105. That's where it's equal to a -1/4. So this one didn't work. It's okay, I'm showing you perseverance. So it must have been that I should have taken this one and added on 2 pi. Now I need some more space. So 2x equals a 1.215 plus a 2 pi, and then divide by 2. So 1.215 plus 2 pi, and then divide by 2. 3.749. Trace and see if that works. 3.749. There it is. Now it's equal to a +1/4. So 3.749. So this one worked, and this one worked, but this one did not, and this one did not. Now let me quickly explain why we got 2 that did not work and 2 that did work. And it's all because of we squared both sides. So when you square both sides, let's say that this was -1/4. Well, when you square it, it's still going to give you a +16th. So when you square both sides, you can get extra answers that aren't actually answers to the original problem. That is really why you need to check your answers.